So when you think that the things aren't listening to you, because we weren't doing this over the computer. I think we were in the car together.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only thing technologically that could pick it up was our phones.
But the thing is like, sometimes that happens though. Like, it's not even like, even if the device isn't with you, it's almost like the devices communicate with each other and pass the information along. Because I've got 3 iPhones, I think. I've got my old 4S, I've got my old 6S, and I've got my XS. It's the 10S. Because, you know, after a while you need a new phone. Well, the 6S I still have because I've been waiting to jailbreak that phone. Because I don't have a Mac. I don't really care for Apple products that much. I only like their phones.
iPhones have really good security measures.
They do, but I wanted to jailbreak my old phone because there's always the chance that you're going to ruin the phone. So I didn't want to jailbreak one that I'm actively using. So when I got my 10, I wanted to jailbreak the 6. Because then I could get...
just bought.
Yeah, or whatever, you know. You could buy an old one for cheap and then do that. But I wanted to do that, and I specifically because you can get like Game Boy emulators and all sorts of stuff like that and play Game Boy games or whatever. But I wanted to do it specifically because I wanted to get a location spoofer for Pokemon Go. Because I live out in buttfuck nowhere, and I've had location spoofers before, but the only ones that you can get on an iPhone without jailbreaking it are ones you pay for. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about Apple. You can't get emulators or spoofers or things like that, but you can if you pay for them for some reason. But you can't get a free one. But if you jailbreak it, you can get a free one. So I don't understand that at all. But I wanted to specifically do that because I live out in buttfuck nowhere, and I have one gym that is like, it'd be like a 15-minute walk or maybe like a 5-minute drive, but like it's just one, you know? Like normally you'd want to be able to walk in a loop and you have a bunch of stops and you could just keep going in a circle or whatever and just keep hitting the same ones as you go around and then you get exercise. I'd have to drive 20 miles to be able to do that, and that's just not plausible. So I wanted to get a spoofer. But the problem is like the moment I came to that decision was like the moment that Apple finally changed their software to where the jailbreak sites didn't work anymore. Cause like you can jailbreak your phone all the way up to the update just before the one that my 6S is on.
Never update your iPhone.
But every time
everybody else does.
Right? Every time they do a new update, the old one gets unregistered, so you can't go back to the old one unless you have a backup, which I do not have. So I'm stuck with the update that I have, and when you go to the sites where it's like which updates can be jailbroken, blah blah blah, which phones can be jailbroken, all that kind of stuff, there's like in the works, like the if you have a Mac, you can do it because the program that works for the Mac works for the current updates. But for Windows, the Windows are always in progress. It's always like a beta thing because they haven't figured it out. And I've been waiting for them to get the jailbreak squared away on that phone.
Before we get too derailed, I played the precursor to Pokemon Go, the game that all the framework for Pokemon Go was based off of. It's called Ingress. And
I didn't know there was any. I thought Pokemon Go was like the first.
No. Okay, so all of your gyms, all of your Pokemon hotspots, whatever the fuck they're called, those were all originally created in a game called Ingress by the players of the game and the community. They would create hotspots based on geographical locations. And that's besides the point. I ended up calling out, because there were 2 factions. I ended up calling out people on the other faction because I would play at night when it was super late. And I drove all the way out to a fucking graveyard. Into a fucking graveyard to capture this fucking point for my team. And I was not even pulled out of the graveyard. Nobody else was fucking there. And they took my shit down. And so I called this chick a bitch in like open chat on this fucking game. I don't even know who the fuck she was. I just like, you fucking bitch. And her husband got on there and started getting lippy with me and shit. And I was like, yo. And I told my entire fucking crew, I was like, they're IP spoofing. They're IP spoofing. There's nobody the fuck out here with me right now. Mass report. My entire fucking faction reported him and his wife. Got him banned from the fucking game.
That is hilarious.
I don't mind IP spoofing as far as like getting out and going around to different locations. But if you're in the same town as me and I just did something, wait a little while. Wait for me to get the fuck away from it before you want to do some stupid shit.
Right. My general rule of thumb is like, mostly because the game itself, when you do shit like that, those games are so good at detecting it nowadays, like based on how like your walk pattern is wiggled or things like that. And don't get me, and then to top that off, the
hell, you couldn't play Pokemon Go with a car.
Yeah, right. But the games, the programs are also getting better at simulating actual walk patterns. So it's a back and forth of both of them getting better. But the general rule of thumb is you don't want the game servers to figure out what you're doing, so you don't do stupid shit. Like, if you live out in buttfuck nowhere and you decide that you want to get that one gym or whatever that's out in the middle of nowhere, and you're doing it in the middle of the night when nobody's there, it's obvious, because nobody's there. Like, really, if somebody were that dedicated to it, they could take a video of the area around them and be like, hey, nobody's here, and this person's doing this, you know? So, but my downtown Olympia, there is, there's stops everywhere. It's crowded as fuck. It doesn't matter, because I actually go explore around downtown. I like it down there. It's cool. It's a cool place. I like to go down there with friends and stuff, but it's genuinely populated day or night. Like, it doesn't matter. There's people there constantly. We've gone to the park down there at 3 a.m. and there'd be like 8 other people there. So if you go and you spoof down in those areas, it's so crowded that you'd be competing with all these other people anyway, so it wouldn't matter if you like took over a gym remotely there or something, because there's always 12 other people that are going to take it back. Like, so, you know, if you're going to do it, you do it in places like that, because there's so many people there that they just assume that you're part of the crowd. You know? And I feel like it's more fair that way as well anyway, because like I said, you're still competing with 12 other people that are there.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, you know, if you can hold a gym for a long period of time, it's not because you weren't there, it's just because you have better shit than everybody else that is there.
Well, it's like I said, like, I don't give a shit about the IP spoofing thing as far as other people doing it. Like, if you need to do it, that's fine. Whatever. I don't care. But at 3 o'clock in the morning, when I'm out in the middle of fucking nowhere by my damn self, don't fucking do that shit. We had a dude that would flip teams. He had like 2 accounts. He'd flip teams and he'd spoof all the time. And he'd go like, he would figure out where other players in the game would live. And he would spoof over to buy their house and then like drop items to spell words out for them to read.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
You a bitch.
So like this dude would like wake up in the morning, he would load up the game and he'd like open up the map in the game, because it's, you know, like Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
And there would be just items dropped out around his house that would like spell out like hello or something.
What's up? I wanted to get into it more too, because there were other games, because Pokemon Go was super popular, and then it you know, spiked the desire for that type of game. So now there's like a Minecraft version of that. Yep. There's the Harry Potter one that I think is supposed to be coming out, or maybe already is out. There's a Jurassic Park one now. I found one that's like a Camelot one, where it's like a weird mixture of Civilization and the Pokemon Go shit, which that one looked kind of cool, but I can't do any of them because all of them require like having things nearby, which I don't have.
Here's what I could advise you to do. I don't know 100% if it'll work anymore. So again, take this with a grain of salt. If you got onto Ingress, you could potentially mark an area near you and label it as like whatever the fuck you want to label it as, whatever you think that's gonna catch somebody's eye, like historical landmark or some shit like that. And it could be a picture of a fucking rock. And they would make a point for that, like a beacon point. And it may take some time for it to upgrade and integrate into Pokemon Go, but technically that would seep through eventually and become a point in Pokemon Go. What type of point, I have no idea.
I thought when Pokemon Go like actually like fully released, they used Google Maps to determine all their locations.
Nope. It does to a sense, but a lot of the points were created by the community of Ingress. And I noticed this because I was playing Ingress and me and my buddy were playing it, and we set up a point on the restaurant that we worked at. And then I set up a point on the sign for the restaurant that we worked at. Like, because it was like some dilapidated fucking ship, and it was like the theme for the fucking dive restaurant that we worked at. And so when we started playing Pokemon Go, there were 2 points there. One was a gym, one was like the Poké stop or whatever.
Right.
And so we literally figured out that they had taken the data from Ingress that we'd put in, that like as a community we had put in, and they had just yanked all those points and put them in their new game.
That's so weird. I wonder if they still pull that data or if they've reached a point where it's not necessary.
That's the thing, like I'm not entirely sure if it still pulls that data, but if you had time,
I feel like if they
might
got
be something
that
to try.
data, they would have to like, because I don't imagine that information is like on a public server to say. Like, I feel like they would have to have some kind of contract with them to like get a copy of all that information. Unless they're both owned by fucking Niantic.
Yeah, they're both owned by Niantic. Niantic made both Ingress and Pokemon Go.
Oh, well, that makes perfect sense then. Yeah, that's all right.
And it might update in real time. It might be they're just pulling the data and using that like constantly.
Dude, that'd be badass. You know what I'd be able to do? If I could take a picture of my house and just fucking label it to Lake's house, and then bam, that's a fucking...
That's a Pokestop.
It's a historical location because ya boy, YouTube star Tilake, fucking
there you go.
60 subscribers. Come visit my house. This is where I lived from age what to what. Historical landmark.
But yeah, no, if you got time, why not give it a shot? But it might work, it might not.
That'd be interesting. Fucking speaking of us going from one point to another point, we got on that whole fucking tangent, and the whole point of me saying that was literally the only point I was trying to get across is the fact that I have 3 phones. that was basically the end of that point, and I went on a whole other tangent because that's what I do. But I think that the devices communicate for the advertisements that we were talking about, because for one, my car communicates with my iPhone 10.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely. Because my phone hooks up to the Bluetooth in my car because it's a 16, so it's like, you know, got newer radio features and stuff like that in it. And your car has GPS in it and stuff like that. But you have to like buy a special chip or whatever if you want to actually use it, which is stupid. But anyway, so it communicates with a variety of things on the iPhone. because it has to work with the phone app, because your calls will go through the stereo and the steering wheel and all that. So it has access to like your contacts and your phone, and you can call people like without ever even touching your phone. Then it has access to like your music and stuff like that. So I can like go through my library and shit. You can give it access to like some of your pictures and things. So my car has access to like a buttload of shit on my phone. My favorite feature is how my phone like knows where my car is. So like if I use my GPS to go somewhere, or actually what's creepier is I don't need to use my GPS. If I drive from my house to my work and back to my house, after doing that enough times, my GPS automatically figures out where my home is and where my work is, and it'll create a route and actually ask me if I need to go to work, or it'll tell me. I used to get a pop-up on my screen on my car about how long it would take me to get to work.
Yeah.
It would specifically say work. And I never gave it an address for where my work is. It would just knew. It's like, well, it's a Monday. Because it wouldn't do that on the weekend. It would do that like during the work week. So like on a Monday, I'd be going to work and it's like 43 minutes to get to work. And I'd be like, oh, okay. I didn't think about it at first. And then I started to think about how fucking creepy that is. And then one day, just for fun, I was like looking up where a restaurant was or something, and I opened up my GPS and my phone, because it starts out looking at your house. It had a dot on it, and it told me this is where your car is. And I looked at that and I'm like, oh, cool, that's sweet. And to this day, I still don't know if my phone can actually GPS track my car, or if it's just going based on the last place my phone was connected to my car. Because either one is equally plausible. Because your car does have GPS tracking. Because my car, if I get in an accident, it automatically dials emergency services and it tracks the location of my car, which is cool. That's an amazing safety feature. But that does mean that your car has GPS in it, even if you can't use the GPS. So it's very possible that my phone just tracks the location of my car, and it's like, your car is parked here. I'm like, that's great. I'll never lose my car.
What I like is when you go somewhere and then you leave, and then your phone's like, how was your whatever at so-and-so? Or where's the entrance for so-and-so at? Like, even when you don't GPS the location, like you just drive up to a location, it's like, hey, I know where you're at. It's like, could you fucking not?
Creepy. It's fucking weird.
But I also used to get those pop-ups in the morning, like, route to work takes this long, and it's like, you know, you drag it down, you click on it, and it would set up a GPS route for you off the bat, and it's like,
But you don't think about it at first. It's like one day you're just eating lunch in your car or something, and then you see that, and you're just like, wait, that's weird. Because it'll do that too if I like drive out to go get something to eat instead of just like hanging out at my job. It'll be like 10 minutes to get back to work, and I'm just like, damn, how'd you even know I was gonna go back to work? Because you always leave at a certain time, and then when you're at work, it's like so much time to get home. It's like, how do you know I'm going home?
Yeah,
Stop! No. Stop it!
Yeah, no, I'm really big on the idea of like privacy and security as far as like technology is concerned. So like the little things that it picks up on worry the fuck out of me.
It's just that by itself, it just disproves so much like conspiracy shit. My favorite thing is all the people that think they're gonna get microchips. They're like, they're gonna put the microchips in your cereal. They're gonna put it in your vaccines. They're gonna fucking
it's been in your hand this entire time.
Your hairstylist is gonna fucking microchip you. I'm like, no. Assuming that they haven't done it already, they don't need to, because your phone, your car.
You willingly watch, put it in your hand.
Your Fitbit. I've heard about the Fitbit thing. All of it just knows where you are at any given time. And the fact is that after this much time, the government hasn't kidnapped you because you're not doing anything impressive.
That's an interesting way to put it. They always know where you're at. They always listen. what was it? I had a conversation with my mother about it because she's like really religious, and she gets into like the whole entire like they're gonna put a chip in your hand, and that's how you're gonna have to pay for things, and they're gonna do away with money and all this other shit. And I'm like,
that sounds wildly convenient.
I was like, you know that's your phone, right? Oh no, it's not my phone. My phone never do that. And I was like, you can pay with things for your phone. Your phone is always in your hand. Your phone keeps all of your personal information on it at all times. What does that sound like you just told me about, Mom?
I love that too, especially now with the wireless scanning, because it started out and it was weird because they added it after the fact. But you have Apple Pay or Samsung Pay or whatever you have for your phone, and so you can just like put a credit card on your phone and wave your phone over the pay thingy, and then it'll just sync it and then put your card on the machine you bought groceries. But now the credit cards do that, and I don't know if that's them trying to compete with Apple Pay or something. But now like the microchips were only out for like a year, and now already they have the microchips are fucking wireless now, so you can wave your credit card instead of scanning it. So I'm like, ooh, don't want to swipe it. You gotta wave your card in front of the fucking card reader.
Yeah, and they try to sell it with like the COVID thing. They're like, oh, it's contactless, so you're less likely to get something on your card.
It's so American though, because it's like, man, it would use a lot of energy for me to pull my debit card out of my wallet when I can just wave my wallet along
into this thing.
I'm like, I'm sorry, did you just save yourself 3 seconds of time? Yeah, but after 100 years, that's like a week worth of time. You know?
No, dude, when they first came out with the chip readers, I wanted to break every single one of those fucking things.
Yeah, because the only time you'd be able to slide is if they were broken.
No, even if they were broken and you tried to slide it and it knew it was a chip card, it was like, please insert chip. Yeah, no, that's happened to me before.
At my work, you had to do it like 3 or 4 times before it was like, okay, fucking fine, you can slide it. I guess.
That's exactly what it is. When I worked at Toys R Us, you had to attempt to scan your chip 3 times, and then it would let you slide. And I would get people all the time like, why can't I just slide off right off the bat? And I'm like, it's just the way the machine works. I can't fix it, bro.
They don't do it anymore.
My chip doesn't work though. The chip's like the one dude didn't even have a chip. It like fell out.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
the chip
okay,
would pop out because they were cheap ass plastic cards.
You gotta humor me, bro. I'm like, I know you have to swipe your card, but all you have to do is like, you can put it in backwards. I don't care, but put it in 3 times and then swipe it.
Dude, I had chips falling out of my card, so I'd like just tape them back in.
Clear tape so that it still works.
No, it get to the point where the chips don't work, and then it's like, it was so much more convenient to just slide the card. I could just slide the card all fucking day.
I do have to say though, the wireless thing that they put in the cards, because my credit card has one of the wireless ones in it, because it still has the chip, it still has the slide, and now it has the wireless thing. So it's like, well, the chip is more secure than the slide. I'm like, but I can still swipe it. So if I swipe it, then that security has been breached, hasn't it? Because it's still an option. But now it's like the wireless thing, but I still have the chip, so it's still not any more secure. Because I haven't used the wireless thing on the card, but I can.
The wireless thing is completely insecure.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
It is entirely insecure in every way, shape, and form. But here's the thing: is like, it's great the way they integrated the wireless thing, but it makes no sense the way they integrated it is not the same way they integrated the chips.
No, they didn't tell anybody about it. I didn't even know it was a thing. Like, my credit card expired, and then I got a new one, and it just had it. I never even heard about it. I didn't even know it was possible, and I just had it.
Yeah, but okay, so it's similar to how they came up with the chips. I'm not sure if you were before chip times, but
yeah.
So
I remember when the chip came out. They told me about it.
Yeah, they sent you a letter, said, this is the new card coming out. Your old card's gonna be obsolete.
They sent me a new card before my card had even expired. I got my chip card, and my old card still had like a year or 2 on it. That's why it was so weird.
You have the option to use the wireless transfer or the chip. If the chip doesn't work, you can do the wireless transfer. If you don't feel like doing the wireless transfer, you can do the chip. However, you cannot swipe it.
Yep.
You still
Under
have to
no
either use the chip
circumstances.
or the wireless thing. You cannot swipe it unless
Well,
both of those have failed multiple times. You are not able to just swipe the card.
that is
No,
So
so
why do
actually,
they have
shut my
magnetic
old
strips
card
on
off.
them anyway? Are just retarded.
I had to use the new one with the chip.
You know, really, they could have made it so much simpler. They could have made it so that you could slide it, and then right there on the touch screen, you get all those yes or no questions. The very first one will be, you just swiped your card. If you allow us to use this information, it might get stolen. Yes or no? Fuck it, yeah.
I don't get that, because the information on the magnetic stripe reader is virtually no more secure than the chip. If you have a reader for the chip, it's the equivalent to having a reader for the mag stripe. Granted, it's a more expensive tool, but they exist.
Yeah.
So there's no extra level of security.
The thing is like, the people that are putting the fake card readers or whatever on like ATMs and shit, if they can put it on the swiper, they can put it on the chipper.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
And then, so check this out. You get the chip reader. You follow somebody up, okay. You get the chip reader on a thing and you follow somebody up shortly after they use it. And it's got the chip reader data from their previous chip. You can download a FLIR thermal register or get an attachment for your phone so that way you can see what numbers exactly they pressed. So even if you needed a PIN number or something like that, you could get that information super easy.
My favorite part as well is when the chips first came out, and I assume they're related because that's what we were told for a while. But we weren't told this by the banks. We just kept seeing it like on the news. Is that when the chips first came out, it was after a big scare because Target got hacked and maybe Sears got hacked or something, and a bunch of people had been swiping their credit cards, and then Target got hacked and everybody's credit card information was released to a bunch of dudes that probably lived in fucking India or something. And everybody's, you know, people were like, you know, identity fraud and things like that, and it was just a big hack at Target. But the thing is like, they didn't have, it wasn't like a fancy tool that somebody put on the card reader. They just hacked into Target's database.
Yeah,
and then
because they kept all that information on file.
Then they came out with the chips, and the whole premise is like, went along with that scare. And it's like, we have these chips now, and so it's supposed to make it so that things like the Target hacking can't happen again. And I'm like, well, that doesn't really make sense to me, because the information, whether you chip it or swipe it, still goes to Target or wherever you're shopping, and that's what they're hacking. They're not hacking the little reader. Sure, you might get the random bandito at the ATM that has a weird
the dude
thing
that's
on there.
parked outside at the gas station in his camper van just fucking skimming credit cards through Bluetooth.
Yeah, but the big fucking Target scandals and things like that, those are people that probably aren't even in the same state. They're just hacking databases, and if you use the chip, it's, you know, maybe a different type of encryption or something.
So it's different code, but you can get that information.
If the thing is with an encryption, if you can make an encryption, you can break an encryption. And if somebody wants to spend the time to do that, they're gonna do that.
Exactly. And the whole thing with card transactions and shit like that, they should never be stored on a database. It should be a peer-to-peer, and then it's done. The information's completely erased, logged on a file somewhere without, you know, super identifying numbers.